Hey yo, it's Nerdcore Dave here. We're back again, using comics to sex your ear and eye holes better than Barry White at a orgy on Valentine's Day. What do you think of the opener, guys?
That's tough to follow.
Hey,
We'll green like that.
we're here to talk about some CGCs, and we got our pal Janine,
Hey, everybody.
and we got, who's that?
Yeah, we've eaten it again. Right out.
Todd. Tad. So anyways, we're here to talk about some CGCs. We got some CGCs back, all three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Woo, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And here, look, I got to double check and make sure we got everybody in the picture here. All right, cool. So yeah, so we're going to show off some CGCs a little bit. Let's scooch this back a little baby bit. I think we got all the artwork in the background. Everything's looking good for the most part. Look at that. You know what? Let's do this. Just a little baby bit back.
All right, I'm ready for my close-up.
Cool.
Mr. DeVille.
I was thinking about myself.
So,
DeVille?
before we totally show off our stuff, we want to discuss some of the stuff we've learned over the course of time here, right?
Absolutely.
So, when we first started, what was that, probably like 6 years ago or something? And this is only the second time I've sent stuff out, but it's been a while.
CGC?
Yeah.
It's
been a while.
Has it been? I guess I never thought about it.
Yeah, probably like 4, 5, 6 years. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't know what we were doing. We kind of winged it, and I know there was definitely one of the issues I had, and I didn't really know until recently, to be honest, that I screwed that up by not asking for a press. And I didn't realize the difference that pressing made. And I know they do cleaning too. We haven't ran into that yet. Mm-hmm. But with the pressing, the main one, and we got examples here, guys, is my Hulk 181. You guys are familiar with this.
I remember it.
So,
Hey, you want to check, make sure we're still all good?
we can.
Well, just make sure.
But the issue with the Hulk 181 was I didn't get it pressed because I didn't know. And after talking to several people in the know, they said that I probably could have squeaked out a few more points out of there, maybe even a 6-0 by having it pressed. So if you look at it, you could tell it doesn't really have a spinal roll, but it's definitely not a flat cover. It doesn't look like it's off the shelf for sure. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing with the pressing is basically they use a little bit of moisture and they iron it in general, I guess is what it is.
Any non-color breaks should be reduced.
Right. And they say even sometimes color breaks are less visual.
Probably flatten the fibers back out.
Yeah. So depending on how bad the color breaks are, I guess, too. Mm-hmm. I know I have a Swamp Thing that I'm going to be sending out, Swamp Thing #1, and it has some pretty significant color breaks, but I think it'll reduce it to some degree, and I'll definitely be able to get it up a little bit. That's what she said. And I know Janine and I, when we were talking yesterday, and I showed you guys that Firestorm 61 I wanted to send, and when I showed them, there was that little divot in there, and they said that I definitely could squeak it out to a 9.8 probably if I had that pressed. And so I'm going to end up having it pressed just to see if I can get another 0.2 out of it, I think.
It's worth it. But to press a comic book it's $10 for the more modern issues. As it goes back progressively, it gets a little bit more expensive by usually $5 increments.
Right.
So,
but it also depends on who you go to, the retailer or who does it, whatever.
Yeah.
And you can buy your own press online and try to learn yourself. It doesn't seem that hard from what I've watched the videos. It doesn't seem...
I hear different things all over the place. Like, it's an art, and there's some technique to it, and other people are like, slap it in there, press it, cool it down, good to go. It's
like going through a drive-through, CGC drive-through.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely moisture involved. That's what makes me nervous, is because they get a humidity chamber, and they let that sit in there for like 4 hours, 5 hours, and then that's where, paper and water don't mix well, so it makes me a little nervous.
I would be a little nervous.
I've seen them, vaporizers is the only one that I've seen people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a vaporizer, an upright vaporizer, not like a steam gun vaporizer, but hold it up and let it, I don't...
The one I saw was they basically took a rubber tub, like a Rubbermaid tub, and then took like a grill and propped it up, and then they put water on the bottom, and then put the comic in on polyester, and that way the polyester blocks it from the water from beading or anything like that. But it has to be a specific kind of polyester, and then you put the lid on and then leave it in there for like 4 or 5 hours. Then you take it out and immediately put it in the heated press. I don't know. It's probably something you just got to fuck with and whatever.
I know you
And,
need some.
It would definitely take some practice.
I know you have some Hawaiian polyester that would probably.
Oh, dude, that's all I wear.
Fabulous.
That's all I wear. I'm wearing it underneath. My Speedo's made out of Hawaiian polyester.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's pretty much. Is that pretty much everything we got to say about pressings?
It's as much as we know. Other than having other people do it and going from there. But next step is get a T-shirt press and whip those quarter books in there and see what happens.
From what I saw, they're selling the presses for about $120. Yeah, it's an iron-on press is what it is for T-shirts. Sound right to you?
Yep.
Janine, sound good to you?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so
You would definitely save yourself some money if you did it yourself. But
absolutely, you figured $10-15 every time.
Time.
In between all three of us would pay for itself, and
Oh, no doubt.
so.
Okay, then the other thing I was going to talk about was auto. Do you have anything you wanted to show with your that you wish you would have got pressed?
Actually, everything that I had, I did get pressed, with
okay.
the exception of actually this one is from the last video that I kind of stuttered and stammered over a little bit because I wasn't positive. Dave asked me which, my probably most prized book is, and it would be, that one.
DC Comics.
That was not pressed, so maybe I might have got some,
Think you could have squeaked maybe a 5 out of it?
I don't know. Like I said at the time, when I took them in, they didn't even ask you if you wanted to get them pressed, which seemed really odd because that went right through a CGC representative at a convention.
You said she seemed like she was about as experienced as we, or
That was a different CGC.
Oh, really?
That was the signature girl, which Rachel. She's gotten much better, but we were definitely the guinea pigs on that one. That was a little nerve wracking, but at any rate, that's not a that one probably wasn't pressed. Everything else, I think, since then we've come a long way. But
Okay. Now, one of the things I wanted to address here and show you guys is something else that I goofed up on. And again, we didn't know, so it wasn't really a goof. It's just a matter of experience. But it is this is the Batman 232, the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, okay? And I had it signed by Neil Adams. I forget. I think I even paid him to sign it. I forget how much it was. And then I bought artwork off him and everything else.
was that the Zatanna day that you got the?
Yeah, the day I got the Zatanna.
Okay, I was with you. I didn't even know you had that sign. I was with you that day.
So we had at CGC, not knowing that you can actually have. There's another company named CBCS, and they can they go through a third party, so they basically subcontract to people who do like they verify sports memorabilia autographs and stuff like that. So they can do that with comics. So you have to pay a little bit extra. I think it's like I don't even remember, $30-$40. I don't know. And then it's $10 per signature. So if you have multiple signatures, I believe this. I don't. From what I remember, that's what the prices were when I was just kind of flipping through. But with CGC, what happened was, one, I didn't have this pressed, and this definitely could have benefited from a press. But obviously, what they do is they don't verify. So actually, they usually give you a different color. What do you even call this? Header plate. Normally, and I don't know if I lucked out or if it was before they started doing that. But if I would have sent that to CBCS, it would have got a higher grade, even if it was the same guy, because CBCS doesn't dock you for the signature. They dock you for the signature through CGC.
I think it's just 1 point in general.
1.0 or was it 0.01? 1 point. It has to be 1.0. Yeah.
1.0.
So it should have been a 5.5, and maybe it would have been a 6 or 6.5 if I would have had it pressed.
Yeah.
So,
I've definitely heard some horror stories about CGC and signatures. What happens when you want to get a book signed? You go to the representative. They physically come with you to the table and go to the artist. I heard guys online tell stories about the CGC rep showed up and they were like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. I got this book signed, and you can verify it." And they said, "I didn't see it be signed," and the artist even said, I just signed that book," and they were like, "Sorry, I have to see it. I have to see it." So they're pretty stringent. They're pretty tough whenever it comes to signings. So yeah, you're definitely not going to send anything in that they haven't seen and be recognized. Does it merely just say signature on cover?
Yeah,
They make a note?
that's what they make a note on. It says name written on cover and marker.
Okay, so I mean,
It doesn't even say Neil Adams.
No, that could you know, and that could be your name. I mean, that's such a vague note, but so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a matter of integrity and professionalism or just nitpicking. I don't know. You know.
Hey, I can tell you, whenever you get a signed signature series from CGC, I can guarantee you it's the real deal, because you can't give them photos, you can't give them videos. That the person physically goes with you and watches the artist sign it, or the creator, or the writer, or whoever.
Now, as far as provenance goes, even with CGC, they don't give a shit. I actually had Todd take this certificate of authenticity with him, and they just gave it back and said, you know, forget it. It doesn't matter. I don't know if CBCS, if you mail it out to CBCS, if the provenance matters or not. I keep it with that CGC regardless in the bag in the back. But I'm sure, obviously, since they authenticate, they probably can do it without it. But I would assume that sending provenance would probably help as well on CBCS. I don't know.
I don't know. You know what? I've heard that if you send that along with the book to get it slabbed, that they don't return it. So they don't recommend sending that out with your book.
So like this actual, like if you would send this with the book
and the book too,
they keep it.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they don't return anything. They don't return your bags or boards or anything. Right. I mean, they put it in there, and that's it. It goes, you know.
That was one thing I screwed up on, because we sent more out last night, and I took everything in my Mylars, and you know, they're kind of pricey compared to the cheapy bags and boards.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have swapped them out. I didn't have any regular cheapy bags and boards to swap them out with, so I kissed those Mylars goodbye. But I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but you know how expensive it is to spend all this money on bags and boards. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, a bag and a board's meant to last 30 years. You know, and then you just throw it away. I mean, so.
And these CGC bags, My Late bags, are $1 a piece, man. Just the bag. There's no board. It's just a bag, and it's $1 a piece, man. If you buy a 25 pack, yeah, it's $25.
Yeah, it adds up. It adds up for sure. So
now, just to show you guys, I do have a CBCS, and I purchased this online. I didn't do this myself, but it's a witness sig, so they do the same thing that CGC does, where they witness at the Comic-Cons or whatever. But just so you guys can get a look at this and see the different header plate, and actually if you look at this, the casing's a little different.
Is that right?
Look at it here, feel it. Even to feel it. Doesn't it feel different? Not as thick and
yeah.
I would say that probably the CGC is a little more durable, it feels like. I don't know.
I don't know. What are you doing with these things?
I'm going to use it for a Frisbee.
Well, then,
They're good Frisbees and serving plates.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving just passed, and
Christmas is coming.
Been good gravy holder.
I'll look for that in a couple weeks, right next to the mashed potatoes.
But you can see also right here, here's the CBCS, and even the 9.2, they don't have like it divided up like the other one does. I think the CGC, CGC is pretty much the main grading company, and it looks a little more professional from CGC, but I ain't hating on this at all. This is a book I wanted, and I was going to buy it and do it myself, but it ended up being cheaper to buy this.
I think it's generally understood that CGC is the money process, the value of the comic book that it holds, and the CBCS is getting signatures and verified and stuff like that. Usually they don't sell as high. I don't understand why. Maybe they just don't think they're as strict on the grading, so it all depends on what you want out of your grading for your books, on who you should go through.
Definitely the preference for collectors. And actually, you know what, guys? Behind here, if you look, I actually have a bunch of books signed by different actors and stuff like that. Even Stan Lee right here. I plan on sending those all out to CBCS at some point. Just FYI.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Groovy. So, now we get to what we got graded. Who wants to go first?
She's being a little quiet over here. Come on. Welcome to the...
Let's ask Janine what her experience is with CGC, because she's a new collector. She's bought comics off and on.
I'm very new. I'm still learning. This is a learning process for me. You
never stop learning.
I know. I actually didn't even know until you told me about getting things CGC'd.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize you could do that. And it's been an experience.
May I introduce Oi? Because they see
Sure.
Squeaks all the time, but they don't see the fat Oi. Senor Oi's brother, not dog.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's kind of quiet, but he floats around here
Not
too.
for long.
All right. So, anyways,
But no, I've been learning a lot. Like I said, I didn't know anything about the CGC process or that, it was even a thing. It's just, it's very interesting to me, like, how they grade, what they look for.
I know I sent you a generalized little list of how they grade.
And I didn't realize, I mean, in actuality, I mean, it should be, but I didn't realize how detailed it was.
Is it making you paranoid and giving you anxiety to touch a comic book at this point?
Some of them, yes. Like, some of them, when I get them, I just put them in a bag and board and put them away. I don't want to read them or anything because I'm like, oh my god, if I want to send this out to get CGC, I don't want to touch this book.
You checking to see if your roof's leaking all the time or something like that?
Yeah. But I don't know. It's been an interesting learning experience for me. And I only got 2 done this time. This is actually my first time getting anything CGC.
And you seem to have had a good experience, right?
I did have a very good experience, and I was so excited when I got them. I was I wasn't sure. Like I expected them. Well, I didn't expect them. I wanted them to come back with a good grade.
Right.
I wanted them to. Only because the one when I purchased it at a local comic book shop, and they actually had. The grade on it of what they thought it might be, and they were actually very accurate. The other book I got, I paid no money at all for this book. I traded some collectible items that I had. Actually, I think you
took it and talked to him.
Actually took this stuff and talked to him and actually did the trade for me. But I had a couple collectible items that I took, and I never and I didn't realize that I could do that until you suggested it. Because I'm thinking, my thought process was, you go to the comic book shop and you have to pay. There it is. That's the price on it. That's what you pay. You pay them. Boom, you got the book. I didn't realize that some of these places you can actually, like if you have other items that are collectible or whatever, that you can actually take them into the shop.
Their supply comes from somewhere, and it's from other collectors, man.
And, like I said, never thought of that. And, like I said, I had 2 collectible items that you took from me, and I got this one book, and... You
got 2 books, but you got this book that you got graded.
This one, I got this one graded. And he had said that it was he had said that it was a very good, he told me that I wouldn't be disappointed that it was a high grade book. And I wasn't disappointed. When I got the grade back, I was not disappointed.
Usually, if you ask for a trade-in value at the store, it will be higher than if you ask for a cash value. So always keep that in mind. There'll be, readily to give you more for whatever you have than if you say I need cash. Then so
because usually, unless it's something that's hot that they can know they're going to be able to unload immediately. Like if I went in there with that Hulk 181, they'd probably give me. Normally, I think the way it used to be was they would offer you half at best
of the Overstreet.
Yeah, the Overstreet guide price. But like if I took out Hulk 181, they know everybody wants that, so they're probably going to give me a little bit more. And then plus, if I do for store credit, they'll probably give me a little bit more on top of that. You know what I mean?
That's what I always try to do. I don't go down looking for cash because usually I'm walking out with something else anyway. So you have something that you don't have a soul attachment to anymore. Take it in.
And then the other thing too is that we've had good luck with, like when we did it on our own, it was a lot more expensive to send stuff out to CGC. But with this retailer that we're friends with, because they're sending out bulk and plus they're just cool guys, they actually cut us pretty good breaks on the pressing and the CGC. Like really, we paid what you would pay for just to have it graded, and then shipping and everything else on top of that both ways isn't even. We didn't have to pay anything else. You know what I mean? And we just paid basically the price because
when you told me the other day, and I realized what I would have paid to get this CGC had I done it myself.
Yeah, when you get the form to fill out, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
There's fees for this, stuff for that, and you're not even sure if you filled it out right. it can be a little bit hectic. So usually the LCS is the way to go. You know, just a lot easier. So they probably get a bulk rate because everybody's taking their books in there. You know, they're not just sending in your 4 or 5. So
maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume with the amount that that place in particular sends out, they're probably sending out freight. They're not even dealing with like, you know, post office or courier or whatever. They're probably sending out, you know, on a pallet. That's what I would assume.
Okay, so I'm gonna show everybody what I got.
Well, you know what? Let me see how much time we got here.
How much time? Where are we at? I'll just.
We're at 20 minutes. How about if we break this in half? So we did our little review, and then we'll do our show. We'll show off our stuff, and then the next one we'll have 2 parts to this.
All right.
All right. So we'll be right back. Nerdcore kinda out for a momentarily.
Hold your breath.